Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dive into a way to make your scales and licks sound more musical and expressive. So we're talking about the different kind of articulations, and really a lot of where the tone comes from in guitar playing is from the attack and then the release of the notes. So I'm going to show you this technique that I call overlapping double stops, and it's going to create some great, really interesting textures on the guitar. All right, so the way you actually pluck the notes can be everything from staccato to legato. Staccato is where you're playing each note very precisely. There's different types of staccato note, everything from snapping the strings like a country player, where you get that snappy sound, it's just kind of rhythmical staccato techniques, or very clean, tight notes like on arpeggio. And then you have legato, which is basically on one string where you're stringing all the notes together. But what I'm going to talk about today is what I call overlapping double stops. And this is basically where you let one note ring out whilst you play another note. And essentially what it does is it creates overtones, kind of resonant layers. So instead of like articulating each note like this, I'll kind of exaggerate it. We get that kind of clean sound, which is cool. If you play it like this, where you let the notes ring out as long as possible, you get this. It's like the sound of when you press the sustain pedal on a piano. So if I do like a major scale, you just let each note ring out for as long as possible before I have to move my fingers. So you can hear the notes ringing out. And it creates that nice sustain effect. It sounds really cool if you play it backwards. Instead of just, I kind of like roll backwards. Now, once you do that, once you've kind of set up that kind of harmonic layer, then you can also do lots of interesting things around that. Like you can add in chromaticism. So for example, if I'm playing up the pentatonic scale, I hear that overlapping double stop. I can add a trill to that, an ornamentation with a chromatic note. And that's actually a little magic shape, this shape here. That you can play that shape all over the guitar, because what it is it's the shape of a minor third, which is a very strong, powerful sound. And then you can add a chromaticism on that. Or that shape's really useful. So you're just literally taking this shape here and moving it around, adding that trill. If I slow that down a bit, starting down here on the A note, playing that overlapping double stop, and then trill, and then slide up, play it again, and then you just keep going. You know, you can slide it all over the place. The theory behind that is you've got this powerful minor third sound within the pentatonic scale, this overlapping double stop, and then you can ornament that with chromatic notes. So you can put that into licks. You know, another example of this is just as simple as like when you're playing this double stop here, which is all over the place in blues, and then kind of bouncing notes around that. So for example, the classic lick there is where you're pushing up against this fourth here. This shape here is a fourth. So that's kind of a staple of a lot of blues guitar playing. It's just basically having that first finger, a mini bar there. So you can apply this same kind of technique to diatonic scales and modes and stuff. Like, so for example, like I said, with the major scale, you know, letting the notes ring out like that, you can turn that into licks. For example, so right there, I'm just kind of going up the scale, but I'm playing these. It's like you're taking these double stop shapes. It almost creates this kind of like harp-like sound. Like the harp technique on the guitar is where you use open strings. So the idea there is you're using open strings wherever you can. So you're adding in the open E string and the B string. You can kind of simulate that sound by just letting the notes ring out over the top of each other. So the idea there is just letting those notes ring out. So for example, that A mixolydian. You know, so with those kinds of effects, you don't have to use so much distortion because you're essentially creating that sense of sustain. And it's nice to get that chromaticism in there. So say if I was playing in the key of C, and I just want to make things sound less vanilla. I don't want to be just kind of like major scale. You can add that chromaticism in there whilst it's kind of ringing out over those overlapping double stops. So for example, so introducing that harp-like resonance of those overlapping double stops really creates some interesting textures on the guitar. You know, you can hear many players use this. Everyone from Jimi Hendrix through to Mark Knopfler uses this. You're probably using this technique yourself without necessarily even thinking about it. But as you start to compose and build your licks, you can incorporate some of these ideas. And it's really great to be able to kind of move from a staccato sound to a double stop and then back and forth, you know. So now, give these techniques a go. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And most of all, remember, turn it up.